more of your time, more of your quality time, more of your energy, whatever it may be. And that's okay. Like, hopefully that's because you're a great human and they just want to get more of your time. But if they take you out of alignment, you're going to be jeffing and you're not going to get the things that you want.
And I think the only reason why you can unjeff people is because you've unjeffed yourself. If you're an aligned person, you can help other people align. If you're misaligned, you can't help people align.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 778, Major Causes of Poor Decision Making. It was our last live podcast. Today, for episode number 779, How People Pull You Off Course Without Meaning to. Alan suggested this topic, so I'm going to let Alan lead the dance.
So first and foremost, I'm drinking tea right now. Emilia made me green tea this morning, and it says, you know how it has the little tab? Yeah. It says, if you let yourself be successful, you shall be successful. It's like, thank you for that. Thank you for that insight, Yogi. I appreciate it.
It's very powerful.
All right. So why did I suggest this episode? So Bianca, Amy, and Emilia and I spend Saturday evenings together because Bianca and Emilia are rebranding and they obviously have a business together. And Amy is my assistant and we do tons and tons of work together over the weekend to set up the week for success. And we were all talking and basically Bianca is, you know, on point more than she's been for a very long time because she's constantly around other people that are on point. And she was talking about how some of the people in her past would constantly stray her off course, and not from the place of not taking ownership, because Bianca definitely was like, honestly, it's my fault. It was my choice to stray off course. But at the same time, it's very difficult to stay aligned when you're around people who aren't aligned with what you're trying to achieve. And Kevin and I talk about this all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I said this one line that made me think of this topic, which was, I said, misaligned people misalign people. In other words, and I thought about this story about when I was basically outside of alignment. Kevin and I, a long time ago, a couple of years ago, we helped a couple mutual friends move. And it was a Saturday. It was only supposed to be a couple of hours. At that time, our business was really, we were struggling to keep up. Let's be frank. And we had a call with David Meltzer in the car during the moving. And I felt very misaligned. I wanted to say no to helping them move because we're not movers. We're podcasters. We knew we didn't have any extra time. We work every weekend. I worked every weekend back then. And I knew it wasn't aligned with my highest potential and my greatest level of contribution. Nothing personal. I love this couple. It is what it is, but I was misaligned. And they offered us pizza and I appreciated that. And Kevin wanted to leave because it already took literally twice or three times as much time as we originally intended. Mm-hmm. And Kevin wanted to leave and I guilted him. And I said, Kev, you're not going to eat pizza with us? Like, I did that whole guilt trip bullshit thing that people do. And I realized, like, in hindsight, like, holy crap, I was making him feel guilty. He was trying to get back in alignment, back on with his weekend, because back then we worked brutal weeks and we still are. But like, you had the weekends for R&R and that was it. And it's like, instead we just spent, 6 or 7 hours moving and lifting heavy things. And it's not like we had any extra time or energy, right? And so you were trying to get back in alignment and like, listen, I got to go. And I was making you feel guilty for getting back in alignment because I was outside of alignment. So rather than having the humility to admit, Alan, you're outside of alignment, you made a poor choice. All of a sudden, I'm insecure, I'm unhappy, I'm miserable. This is where that whole misery loves company comes from. I don't want Kevin to go leave. I want Kevin to stay because I want to try to justify the fact that I made this poor decision. And I think that what happens with people who are not aligned is they want other people to misalign too. And I'll give you one more example with drinking. When I first quit drinking, I remember for such a long time, I had a hard time telling people that. And they would say, like, what do you mean? Like, you used to drink all the time. Let's just do one. It's just one beer. Why can't you just drink in moderation? And I would say to them, I know that you can drink in moderation, but I don't do well at that. I've tried so many times I don't do a good job at moderation, right? And I really would prefer not to drink. And so I think, and I told Emilia this the other night, because I do think, basically, and I told Kevin this, I think Emilia is more improvement oriented than I am. And I think that's a shocking realization. I've never really felt that way before with anybody. And that's whatever, it is what it is. But I told her straight up, I said, sweetheart, I don't think you should try to be more like me. I don't think you should try to relax more. I don't think you should try to, come to my level. I think that I should be trying to come to your level. And she's basically said no one's ever said that before. And the truth of the matter is that her work ethic is a virtue. Her improvement orientation is a virtue. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And most people in her life, I know, have tried to get her to be more like them, when in reality, in my honest opinion, they should be trying to be more like her. And so misaligned people misalign other people. People who are aligned actually align other people. There's a joke on the team about Alessandro when he first came on, and I came to Kevin and I said, listen, Alessandro's listened to 400 episodes of our podcast, and I just started coaching him. This is nothing against Alessandro, but I was like, he's still pretty lost. Like, we're not doing a good job. We need to do better on our show at helping people get direction. And so our podcast improved from that. But there's a joke on the team about how I can un-Jeff people. And the only reason I could un-Jeff Alessandro is because I un-Jeffed myself. Mm-hmm. And I think the only reason why you can un-Jeff people is because you've un-Jeffed yourself. If you're an aligned person, you can help other people align. If you're misaligned, you can't help people align. If you're misaligned in fitness, you're not going to be able to help me align in fitness. It's kind of like leading by example in a nutshell.
It's interesting too. In a lot of, I know at the beginning of this journey and this podcast, a lot of our listeners were obligers. This is why it's so important to stand up for yourself and set boundaries, because this is actually something I'm actually really good at. But when Alan, quote unquote, guilted me, I don't want to say that because I didn't look at it negatively.
Guilt you. I did though.
But
honestly.
Whatever.
Okay.
In my mind, it was just like, he got me. Whatever. It is what it is. If I stood up and just said, hey, I said I was going to be out of here at 3 because I'm going home to watch UFC. Like, that's just the way it's going to be. You have to practice. Like, that is a muscle that you can practice using. And what that also does is that helps realign people. That helps realign people. So this was, I don't know, this is probably like last year, but Tara and I went to her mom's house, and there was like a gathering, and it was a lunch. And Taryn told her mom, like, Kevin has to leave at noon. And when I got there, and her mom's awesome. Her mom's the sweetest. When I got there, she was like, hey, are you going to stay for lunch? And I said, no, I have to leave at noon. And she said, why? What do you have? And I said, I have the team call today. Like, our team call used to be on Saturday. And she's like, you can't just
before
stay.
Book
like,
club.
Yeah, before book club. You can't just stay for a little bit. And I said, no, I can't. Like, I have a hard stop. Like, when the clock hits noon, I have to go. It doesn't matter what, like, I don't care if I don't get to eat, if I don't get to see the fire, like, whatever. It's just, I have to go. And that's something that I feel a lot of people struggle with.
Yes.
A lot of people struggle with that.
Almost everyone.
Yeah. And it's one of those things of like, if you don't know how to set your own boundaries, almost everybody is going to misalign. They're going to take you off course a little bit. It might not be a lot, but like, this was something for me, and I'm blessed for this. I've had several clients who are from across the country or somewhere else in the country come to Massachusetts when I lived in Massachusetts and say, hey, I'm actually going to be on near you. Do you want to meet up for lunch? And it's like, of course I do. That'd be awesome. Like, somebody that I've never met before that I've coached or that listens to the show. Like, I'd love to do that. Unfortunately, I have other things that I have to do. So they're not asking me that to misalign me, to take me out of alignment. No. They're asking because they feel like that'll help them align more. And that's awesome. I love that. I'm grateful for that. So my takeaway, and Alan asked what my intention was before this episode, and it changed when Alan was talking. My intention from this episode is for you to start setting boundaries, because when you set boundaries, it's way harder for people to unintentionally take you off of your course.
What is up, you guys? My name is Gabby, and I just want to give a huge shout out to Kevin and Alan for the community that they have created and the mission that they are on over at Next Level University. Never in a million years did I think when I started listening to the Hyperconscious podcast 2 years ago that I would be as invested as I am today. But here we are 2 years later. I have done group coaching. I truly look forward to every single episode they drop, all of the things that they're teaching. And I am now doing one-on-one coaching with Alan to help level up in my business. And all I gotta say about these guys across the board is they are true, genuine souls. They mean it when they say they are heart-driven, and they mean it when they say they are no BS. And I think that's probably my favorite part about them. They get rid of the fluff. They give you tactical tips and tricks to help you level up in your life, to help you make strides towards your goals. And they've created a community of like-minded people to lean on each other at every single stage of life. So guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the impact that you have made in my life, and I am so very excited to see the impact and the waves that you make from here on out.
If you were to, a lot of people struggle with their diet during the holidays. I know why. And by the way, I think it's important for us to provide context of what alignment really is for anyone who's a new listener. We've had a lot of new listeners lately. Super grateful. Alignment, Emilia came up with this framework, and she calls it the GPS. And we actually just sent it to Monique. We had a relationship talks with her on Saturday, but it's core aspirations, core values, core beliefs. So core aspirations is what you want to achieve and who you want to become future. Core values is how you show up in the present. Okay. And core beliefs is what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the world, anything that's a limiting belief or a limitless belief. And so alignment, if you think about it, I'll try to give an example. Okay, here's an example. Let's say that Kevin wants to drive from New Hampshire to my home. That's an hour and 25 minutes south. If someone says, hey, Kev, and he wanted to get here today, I don't know, it's 11:20 a.m. right now. We're recording this. Let's say he wants to get here in an hour and a half, and he has 5 minutes of wiggle room. Let's say someone asks him to stop and get coffee, and they end up taking 15 minutes instead of 5 minutes. That would be misaligned with Kevin's goal. Kevin's goal was to get here in an hour and a half. And if he spends 15 minutes at coffee, that means he's going to be 10 minutes late. That's misalignment. That is happening to your future self 24/7, 365. The question is, to what extent is it happening? And are you trying to get more percentage in alignment or less alignment? It's hard to understand this, but at all times, if you think about it, you are either getting more in alignment or more outside of alignment. This morning, I woke up hungry at 6 a.m. And my fitness goals right now are predicated on being in a deficit. In other words, being hungry is kind of par for the course. And I went and got a bowl of cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, delicious. And I watched half an episode of House. I knew during that episode, I'm like, honestly, it's 6 a.m. You have so much work to do. Like, this is not getting you closer to alignment. This is misaligned. I can tell. My intuition is like, hey, Alan, like, this is outside of alignment. So what did I do? Finished my bowl of cereal, changed to WhatsApp, started promoting our next event, Relationship Talks virtual event, which is the 11th. That's what it is. Self-discipline gets you back in alignment. People who don't have self-discipline and don't have clarity and don't have alignment will try to misalign you without meaning to, just because they're being themselves. If they're lost people are around other lost people. People without direction can't help you align. They genuinely can't. That's an interesting thing, and I won't go too far down this, but Kevin and I, to be completely transparent, have had a hard time finding mentors these days, coaches and mentors. And I know why. It's not because we are all knowing. And I told Kevin this recently. It's because in terms of clarity and direction, we're on the very, very high end. And Brendan Burchard's tough to get a hold of.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, Brendan Burchard reminds me of someone who might have more clarity than us. I'm actually not sure, to be completely transparent. But most of our mentors and coaches, to be quite transparent, they don't have as much clarity as we do about who they are, who they aspire to be, who they used to be, what they want to achieve, why they want to achieve it, and how they're going to get there. And so it's very difficult. I think that's what my intuition was saying to Kevin is like, Kev, like my intuition was telling me, we're not going to get aligned more by people who aren't as aligned as us. Mm-hmm. We need to find people more aligned than we are.
Yeah, and the other thing too is taking advice on somebody who doesn't know what you want and isn't necessarily certain of their own level of clarity for their future might, again, unintentionally bring you out of
Derail you.
alignment. Yeah, it's a whole thing. This is deeper than I expected, in a good way.
Good one.
In a good way. But this is my takeaway. This is my tactical takeaway. Start setting boundaries, because your alignment is your responsibility at the end of the day. That's one of the reasons I've gotten really good at saying no. It's like, I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested. I thank you. I appreciate it. But honestly, it's not for me. I don't have time, whatever it may be. It's almost like make your decision in advance. I always, and Taryn has given me a lot of credit. She said, you really helped me set boundaries. And I said, you know why? I have my boundaries set before I enter the room. I don't care what time dinner is. When my boundary is set, I'm stubborn. When I have to go, I have to go. That's just always been one of my specialties. So set your boundaries so people can't unintentionally take you out of alignment. I doubt they're trying to do it. They're just trying to get more of you, more of your time, more of your quality time, more of your energy, whatever it may be. And that's okay. Hopefully that's because you're a great human and they just want to get more of your time. But if they take you out of alignment, you're going to be jeffing and you're not going to get the things that you want.
What's the one thing people can do from now on that you think will help them stay aligned around misaligned people? Because the holidays are coming up.
I just say preset when I walk into a room, I do this all the time. And I told you this, Alan, when I jump on a call with somebody and I have back-to-back calls, I'll just jump on and say, hey, I only have an hour. Just FYI, I have to be off at the top of the hour. I just pre-frame it. So, go in and say hey, just so you know, I'm doing this new diet, or hey, just so you know, I have a call at this time that I have to take. I would pre-frame it. That way it's not reactive. It's more proactive.
Yeah, it's fire.
Anything else in closing?
And that way it's not suddenly hey, I got to go. Yeah. And then it's wait, what? You have to go?
You can plan for it.
Yeah.
You can plan for it.
It's fire.
And think of it in a holiday situation, and I've definitely done this before, where you tell one person and then you see somebody else and they ask you the same thing and you tell them. It gets easier. It gets easier to tell the same thing over and over if you've already done it a couple times.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Well, Kev, I got to be out of here in 1 minute.
Okay, well, let's do this. Next Level Nation, we appreciate you as always. If you are looking to grow, scale, or monetize your podcast, please reach out to me. If you don't have a podcast and you want to, please reach out to me as well. I can definitely help you get that started. Alan and I are getting more listens some days than we have gotten than we got in the first year of the podcast, which blows my mind. And we're blessed enough to have a multi-six-figure business from this podcast. So I can definitely help you with all of that. Alan is doing peak performance business as well as lifestyle design. One of the best coaches I've ever seen,
Thank you, brother.
It just is what it is. It is what it is. I could talk about accomplishments, but Alan has helped me. If you need a testimonial in terms of what Alan is capable of doing, just look at me, because a lot of my success is with Alan's help. Obviously, I've done the work, but Alan has helped me do that work. So I feel like I am probably the best testimonial, hopefully, you'll ever have.
Thank you, brother. I
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
that. I would agree with that. You're my best work.
Next Level
But
Nation.
seriously, thank you. Yeah.
Of course. Also, group coaching number 5 is starting January 4th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The stuff is in the show notes. We are only taking 10 people. You can fill out the application, sign up, all that happy jazz with the link in the show notes.
Show notes.
What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's episode 780. How do you put your emotions aside when making logical decisions? From last week's live Q&A. As always, we are grateful for each and every one of you. We love you. We do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.